everybody, this is Max and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a chatty video and I'm going to share my thoughts about the closing of Henri Bendel. So if you're interested in what that is all about, just keep on watching. Okay guys, I had a few people that wanted me to kind of share my thoughts on the closing of Henri Bendel. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that I am a huge Henri Bendel fan, and I have been probably very loyal to the brand for as long as the one that is located in my state has been open. It has been one of my favorite accessories brand. I have just loved everything that the brand stood for. I love the products. I just loved everything about it. So I was shocked. Well, a little shocked. I was like hurt and saddened when I heard the news. So I want to kind of share with you my thoughts about it. And I don't have all the answers. I don't have really any answers, but maybe I could, maybe shed a little bit of light of how these things work and why they happen. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the history of Henri Bendel, and I thought we would maybe touch on a little bit about how retail works, and then I'll kind of summarize it with telling you about why I think something like this happened. All right, so Henri Bendel has been open for like over 123 years. So you guys have got to realize that it was like the first luxury retailer that opened up on Fifth Avenue in New York. And when it was a luxury retailer, it was kind of like a department store that is similar to a Saks Fifth Avenue or a Neiman Marcus. At the time that Henri Bendel was open back in the day, before it became the Henri Bendel that we know now, it carried other brands. It had makeup, it had clothing, it had hats, it had a lot of different things besides what we see offered today. And if you've ever seen the movie Simply Irresistible, and look it up, it'll show you a glimpse of what Henri Bendel used to look like. Now, if you fast forward a little bit in time, it was actually bought in 1985 by L Brands. And L Brands at the time was actually limited brands. And if you don't know what limited brands is, I'm going to tell you a little bit about limited brands, and this will kind of make sense to you. Limited brands was a kind of a conglomerate company that owned a lot of mall brands, all right? So back in the day, limited brands had Abercrombie and Fitch, they had New York and Company, they had Lane Bryant, Victoria's Secrets, they had Bath and Body Works, White Barn Candle Company, Pink. Who else? They had the Limited, and they also had Express. So all those companies were kind of under one big umbrella. Their main head office was located in Ohio, and back then retail was different in 1985 and in the early 90s than the way that we know it today. So when they acquired the brand, it was just kind of like this nice, big, beautiful luxury retailer that was located in New York, and that's pretty much the only place that it was. And retail back then it survived off of anchor stores around it. So if you were a store that was located to stores that gave a lot of foot traffic, then you did really good. You usually produced really well as long as the demographics was, of a higher economic group, and their shopping patterns were where they shopped a lot. So if you kind of move that over into how retail works, knowing that that's how limited brands functioned, limited brands had all these stores that I just named located in malls. And if you will know what limited brands, or L Brands as it's called today, you'll know that they sold off Abercrombie and Fitch, they sold off Lane Bryant, they sold New York and Company, Express, they sold Limited. So he's not shy about shedding dead weight, things that he feels aren't making him money. One thing you'll know about limited brands is that they were trailblazers in terms of in-house branding. And what they basically did was they kind of became the manufacturer. They produced, they manufactured, they distributed, and they also sold. So they kept that kind of all in-house. So that kind of eliminated the middleman, which kind of increased their profits. They did that. They kind of took that business model over to Henri Bendel. And so around like 2008, they started taking Henri Bendel outside of New York and they started putting it in other states. So it kind of transferred. I want to say it's probably in 11 states, and they made it into just an accessory store. So once you transitioned from being a department store and a luxury department store, and you transition over into just an accessory retailer, you kind of lose a little bit of your customer base, because you have that customer who's kind of used to luxury one-stop shopping, who's now finding your store that you have to go in there for a specific need. So once a store kind of transitions to there, just know that you lose a little bit of a base. So as they did that, just know that they did that during the time when the internet was becoming like really, really huge. And the business model that limited brands had kind of built themselves on was actually dead. Malls had started to die. No longer could you depend on just your anchor store or just a neighborhood for you to survive off of, because the competition wasn't just basically what was located inside of the mall. It was the whole world. The internet opened it up to where back in our day, if we wanted to go shopping and we went into like Express and we didn't like what they had, well, the only competition we had were the stores that were in that mall. We couldn't say, well, you know what? I'm going to log on and I'm going to see what so-and-so got in Italy, or I'm going to see what so-and-so has in Paris, and I'm going to order it from there. You weren't able to do that. So if you weren't fast enough to kind of keep up with those times, it kind of left you behind. So again, when that switch happened and they became this accessory brand, as I previously mentioned, they kind of lost a little bit of a customer base. And then you fast forward them again, when they came on the scene to the internet times, you got to know that the internet was kind of marketed at a younger demographic. So as the company started to transition and they decided to market, because one of the marketing strategies of luxury is to really not market. It is to kind of keep the brand kind of exclusive. And when you do that, you kind of gamble a little bit. And for me, I was always confused why, when it became a luxury retailer, that it didn't brand off and kind of make shoes or, you know, items of clothing or just something to kind of make the brand a little bit stronger. Or why wasn't it offered at like Neiman Marcus, or why wasn't it offered in Saks to kind of get the brand a little bit more exposure? So that was one of the things that kind of made me go, you know. And then as you kind of go along with the company and you kind of follow it, you start to see it transition. And when I first started go shopping to New York, or when I first started shopping at Henri Bendel, I noticed that it was marketed at kind of my age group. So it was kind of like a mid-20s, 30s New York kind of girl, kind of like New York in the city kind of girl. And, you know, she liked high-end, classy accessories, and she liked to have fun. You know, there was these different personas that the store kind of marketed as. And then as time changed, it seemed like the demographics got younger and younger and younger. And as it transitioned, just know that it'll lose that customer base. And I kept thinking, God, what are they doing over there? And then as time kind of went on, one of the business modules that a limited brand adopts all the time is teaching a customer to buy on a coupon. And you guys know, if you've ever shopped in a Victoria's Secrets or a Bath and Body Works, you guys know you get those coupons constantly. So you've now taken a luxury customer and you've taught her that she doesn't need to buy it at full price, that she can get it on sale. Sometimes giving those coupons and making them kind of just these huge mailers that are kind of sent out to, you know, the world, kind of like cheapens your brand a little bit. It takes the exclusivity out of it, and you lose that kind of hiring customer sometimes. Sometimes that customer feels like it's devalued, and I know it sounds crazy, so they kind of shy away from those kind of brands. When you start to see it on everywhere, on everybody, and it becomes saturated in the market, it kind of loses its shine a little bit. Now, mind you, while they're doing these coupons and all of these promotions, the price point really isn't going up in Henri Bendel. In fact, it's going down. And then what I started to see was a lot of the pieces that I felt that that Henri Bendel could have marketed or could have produced to kind of make them strong in the accessory world, which was like to build a core line that they knew, that people knew them for. They didn't really do it. And the things that they picked for their core line was like the jet setter backpack. And of course, a backpack is targeted at a younger person. And that price point was very like on the lower end of a price point. There wasn't like a leather bag, or there wasn't something that was a decent price point to kind of, you know, elevate them and to keep them growing and keeping the attention of new clientele coming in. And it was kind of like the stepchild. If you look at the company as a whole the way I do, you saw most of the attention being put on Bath and Body Works and Victoria's Secrets. And you kind of saw, you know, the other brands getting sold off or just not the same level of attention being paid to it. So to me, I felt like eventually, as if the numbers weren't going to turn for Mr. Wexler, that he was eventually going to sell off the brand. And what puzzles me is that it's not being sold, that it's just being closed. And it's crazy because a brand with such strong heritage like that, you would think that would be very valuable to someone, that someone could actually take that name and actually, you know, build a very strong luxury brand, one that could really compete with the market. I mean, we see Coach and we see Michael Kors, and we see those are just very, I mean, Coach has really come back alive. The new creative director, they're producing a clothing line now, and they have core designs that, you know, you can kind of go there all the time. You know, you can find the Rogue, you know, you can find the Dinky, you know, certain bags, you know, that they're always going to be there. And you now see Coach being offered in higher retail stores like Neiman Marcus, and online at Saks, and I think that's wonderful. And I would have liked to have been able to see Henri Bendel like that, and unfortunately we didn't. So at this particular time, I know that there is a petition going on to try to keep Henri Bendel open, and I will link that petition below. So I've signed it myself if you would like to go on and sign it. I don't know if it's going to do anything, guys, but we can hope and wish. And I would hope that maybe someone would, like I said, would buy the brand and kind of revive it. That would be awesome. It's just really sad. It's sad to see it go. But, you know, that's how things work in business. If it is something that doesn't have enough focus put on it and it doesn't produce enough money, then of course it's going to be closed. And we've saw a lot of things that kind of matured during that brick and mortar time that just don't survive in the climate of today. In the retail climate of today, the game has changed. And I know a lot of us dinosaurs from old retail, we had it down to a science when it came to brick and mortar. And when technology got introduced as the internet, it just kind of totally switched the game up. And it made it totally different. And the generations are different. Like millennials are different than the generation before them and the generation before them. And it's like the shopping patterns are different. What they kind of go after is different. And when you study all those kind of things, it's really difficult for an older retailer to kind of transition along unless they're bringing in new talent constantly and they're not resistant to change. Now, I don't know what's going on the inside of their company, but I know that he feels very confident with producing soaps and lotions, and he's very comfortable in that market. And I want to say that, you know, he really has a strong holding in that market. So I could see, you know, that being a lot easier than kind of playing with the other things that are kind of playing with the other commodities that are kind of on the market. So that's kind of, I hope that made sense to you about what's going on and why I think it's going on. What I'll say is, you know, guys, make sure that you get your purchases in before those doors close. There are some wonderful heritage pieces that are still left online. And when I say heritage, I mean the pieces that have like the centennial stripes. I know that since the announcing has come out that they're closing, I've had quite a few people kind of inbox me and email me and ask me about if I was selling any of my things. And I was going to do it in this video, but I've been chatting for a while, so I'm not. I am going to come and share with you because I think I'm going to do one last haul. So I'll put it all together in the haul that I do, my one last Henri Bendel haul. It'll probably be around, I'm thinking I'm going to make my purchase around Christmas because I'm going to buy lots of gifts for people from there. And then, of course, I'm going to get a few things. And I'm going to share some things in that video that I think are awesome pieces to invest in. So it'll probably be before Christmas. And I'm going to share also some things that are in my collection that I want you guys to hang on to, because the prices that I'm getting offered, I'm like, wow, I didn't even pay that much for it, are really, you know, worth something. So if it does go out, some of the true fans, if you've been buying for a long time and you have some of their older heritage pieces that are in great condition, those might be worth some money. So like I said, I'll come back and I'll share that with you guys. That's all I have for you. Be sure that if you are interested and it's something that, you know, you feel very strongly about, be sure to link or to click that link below of the petition and sign, you know, and hopefully that will at least allow them to keep it online, or, you know, maybe it'll show some investor out there that it's worth to invest in to at least buy it. So that's everything that I have for you guys tonight. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll holler at you guys later. Peace.